According to the ancient Mosaic law, abstinence from certain foods was to be observed, as well as the prescriptions we heard about this morning on the purification of vessels. One reason that certain foods were banned was because it thought that they made one unholy, and certainly dirty hands and dirty vessels were not something that contributed towards holiness in their minds. Jesus gives a new teaching in today's Holy Gospel. Jesus reminds them that it is not what a person eats or uses that makes one unholy, but it is rather what comes out of one's heart that makes one unholy. He reminds us that God sees in our hearts for what we truly are, and that while our external observances are necessary and good, they are not the most important thing in life. Some of the ancient observances recalled today may seem meaningless to us, and yet we have no indication that Christ himself did not follow these precepts. However, we all know it is much more important on what the interior life is. We all know how important it is that we behave in an appropriate manner. One, we must be doers of the word and not hearers only. We hear the scriptures week after week, and if they have no effect in our lives, then we are wasting our time by being here. If we do not act on the teachings of Christ, we are then deluding ourselves that we are pleasing to God. Christ is reminding us this morning that our behavior is important. But what is even more important is what is in our hearts, because our behavior flows from where our hearts are set. Christ tells his hearers that they may be doing all the right things, but he reminds them that they honor God at times with their lips, and their hearts are far from him, a lesson to be well taken by all of us. Christ was sent to us by the Father not because we were already perfect or are perfect, but because we need to be perfect as the Heavenly Father is perfect. And we need the help of Christ and the sacraments and the grace that comes from the sacraments to please God, to change our hearts, to embody within our hearts the true meaning of the law. Jesus will help us if we ask him. And what Christ wants us to do is to fill our hearts with his love. Out of this love, he desires, first of all, that we love and serve the Lord our God above all things, and then treat one another in a kind and loving way. This indeed is a big order, especially in a society which is less and less oriented towards God and to the sacred. It is the work of a lifetime. Perhaps we might start here at this Holy Mass. Cardinal Saba, who is the prefect of the Congregation of Liturgy, said recently that in many ways we have not yet begun to implement Vatican II in regards to liturgy because the Council never intended the sacred to be taken out of liturgy. It never intended liturgy to be banal. And when it talks about active participation, it talks about us entering into the mystery of Christ, to see at the altar in the words that are said, Christ who is acting, Christ who is giving his body and blood. Instead of doing our actions, therefore, in a mechanical way, we should be made more aware of our external actions at Mass. First of all, we should be aware of our reverence towards God and the things of God, and our reverence in this holy temple consecrated to Christ by the power God has given. We need to pay attention to what is going on here, not on cell phones, not on whatever other distraction there is, but right here. Otherwise, there's no point being here. We should be mindful of how we dress, modestly, and in a way that is fitting to attend what is sacred. We should have a spirit of silence in the liturgy where we can hear God. And above all, we should have a reverence when we receive Holy Communion. Our minds should be in harmony with our actions and calling to mind each time we approach this altar that it is the Lord of life we receive under the veil of bread and wine. In all of this, let our hearts be in tune with our actions. Let us have a spirit of adoration and love for God, God who loves us infinitely, eternally, and unconditionally. Let us strive to love God above all things, and then to love one another.